In 1967, psychologist Paul Ekman traveled to a remote tribe in Papua New Guinea that had never seen a Western face. He showed them photographs of people making different expressions and asked them to match each face to an emotion. They got them all right. The disgust face, upper lip curled, nose wrinkled, eyes narrowed, was recognized instantly. It did not need to be learned. It was already there, already known, already old. Disgust is not like most emotions. Fear tells you to run. Anger tells you to fight. But disgust tells you to not touch something, not eat it, not get near it. It is the immune system of the mind, an ancient gate that closes before the body can be contaminated. And like the immune system, it evolved long before any of us were born. The neural center of disgust is the insula, a folded region buried deep inside the brain that processes taste, smell, and internal body sensation. When something disgusting enters awareness, a rotten smell, a festering wound, the texture of spoiled meat, the insula fires intensely. So does the basal ganglia, which controls the automatic withdrawal responses, the gag reflex, the step-back posture, the face that every human on Earth makes without being taught. This circuit is ancient. Rats show disgust-like responses to bitter and toxic substances. They curl their lips and shake their heads in patterns nearly identical to the human disgust expression. Chimpanzees refuse to eat food that has been touched by feces, even if it is otherwise identical to food they wanted moments before. The emotional logic of contamination, once something is dirty, it stays dirty, appears to run deep across species. For our ancestors, disgust was survival. The African savanna was full of threats that could not be seen. Rotting meat carried Clostridium, Salmonella, E. coli. Standing water carried parasites. Wounds that smelled wrong were infected wounds. Before humans had language or medicine or any understanding of germ theory, disgust was the warning system that kept them alive. You did not need to know why something was dangerous. You only needed to feel that it was wrong. The archaeological evidence for disgust behavior is harder to read than the evidence for grief or hope, but it is there. Neanderthal burial sites, some dated to 60,000 years ago, showed deliberate placement of bodies in defined locations away from living areas. This separation of the dead from the living is not just ritual. It is a behavioral response to decomposition, to the smell and sight of what a body becomes. Disgust may have been one of the forces that drove early humans to bury their dead at all. Food refuse at early human sites also tells a story. Excavations at Neanderthal camps reveal that bones were processed quickly and discarded in specific areas away from sleeping and eating zones. There is a spatial logic to these sites, a sense of clean and unclean, that suggests active disgust management. The organization of space around contamination is not abstract planning. It is disgust behavior made visible in the archaeological record. But the most interesting thing about disgust is what it became. Jonathan Haidt, a psychologist at New York University, spent years studying how disgust operates in the modern human mind. He found that the same insula activation, the same ancient circuit, fires not just when people see rotten food, but when they witness moral violations, cheating, betrayal, cruelty, sexual taboo. Somehow, in the course of human evolution, the emotion that started as a response to bad meat became a response to bad behavior. Haidt called this moral disgust, and it works by the same logic as physical disgust. Just as touching a contaminated object makes another object contaminated, the contagion principle, moral disgust spreads by association. A person who commits an act considered morally foul becomes foul themselves, in a way that feels viscerally real, not just abstract. This is not metaphor. Brain imaging shows that moral violations and physical contamination activate overlapping neural regions. When did this expansion happen? The honest answer is that we do not know precisely. But we know it requires a level of social cognition, the ability to model other people's behavior and judge it, that is probably linked to the same prefrontal expansion that brought us hope, grief, and moral reasoning. By the time Homo sapiens were living in groups large enough to require social norms, disgust was almost certainly already policing those norms from the inside. Anthropologist Mark Schaller developed what he called the behavioral immune system hypothesis. He proposed that disgust sensitivity evolved in populations where pathogen load was high, where disease was a constant threat, and that social behaviors evolved alongside it. Groups that were more sensitive to disgust signals were more likely to avoid infected individuals, reject contaminated food, and enforce hygiene norms. In environments where a single outbreak could kill a small band, that sensitivity was not squeamishness. It was a survival advantage. The parasite stress model extends this further. In regions with high parasite diversity, cultures tend to show more conservative social norms, stronger in-group preference, and heightened sensitivity to anything unfamiliar or anomalous. The same emotion that kept ancient humans from eating a dead animal also made them cautious of strangers, because strangers, in an era without germ theory, carried unknown microbes. Xenophobia and disgust share the same neural root. Sexual disgust is another branch of this system. Across cultures, humans show strong disgust responses to incest, to sexual partners who are ill, and to anything that signals poor genetic quality or parasitic infection. These responses are not learned in the conventional sense. They emerge in children before they fully understand what they mean. Evolutionary psychologists argue that sexual disgust is the immune system operating at the level of reproduction, selecting for partners who are unlikely to pass on disease or share harmful genetic variants. What is striking is how quickly disgust can be overridden by culture, and how poorly that override works. Haidt demonstrated this in experiments he called moral dumbfounding. He gave people scenarios that violated their disgust instincts but caused no harm to anyone, then asked them to explain why the scenarios were wrong. Most people insisted they were wrong, but when pushed for a reason, they could not find one. They said things like, "I just know it's wrong." Their disgust had arrived before their reasoning, and no amount of logic could fully dislodge it. This is the emotional inheritance we carry from our Paleolithic ancestors. Disgust evolved to be fast, automatic, and resistant to override, because in the environment where it was forged, slowing down to reason through whether a piece of meat was safe to eat could be fatal. The system was designed to fire first and ask questions never. Our ancestors on the African savanna likely felt something very close to what you feel when you smell something rotten or witness a betrayal. The same face, the same pull away, the same sense that something has been violated that cannot simply be washed off. That emotion is very old, older than language, older than burial, possibly older than our species itself. The next time you feel an unreasonable revulsion at something that cannot actually hurt you, a food texture, a stranger's behavior, an idea that just feels wrong, you are running one of the oldest programs in the primate brain. It was built to protect you. It kept your ancestors alive, and it still shapes your world in ways that are far more profound than most of us realize.